What's going on, everybody? Day 2 of the camera rig build. So we left off yesterday with creating this piece. Now, upon closer inspection, you might be able to see it. This edge must have came undone from the bed. So I applied a little more adhesive so that when we print the next part, we shouldn't have this problem. Otherwise, I am very happy with how everything came out. So today's focus is going to be creating the piece that goes from here up to the main support. Now it looks like that's going to be pretty tall. Let's see if we can figure out where my camera is going to sit with a trusty tape measure. So it looks like if I go 6 to 6.5 inches, this is the angle that we'll get once I build my new pedestal. So my next step is to take the same drawing that I made for this piece so we can replicate where the holes are. I think it's 2.5 by 2.5 with a 1/2 inch inset for each of the holes. I made the holes for 1/4 inch hardware, and I'll have to pick up some of that so that we can mount this adapter to it. I suppose the smart thing would have been to make it so that I could put everything together by just sliding it in without using any hardware. But we didn't do that, so I'm just going to continue with the original plan. Anyway, so we're going to make another one of these with a 6.5 inch, let's just go with 6 inch square stock that's going to come up so that we can mate it into the receiver, which will sit on top. The receiver is actually going to be quite a bit larger. It might be the longest part I've ever tried to print, because you can't see it because I'm holding the camera, but the camera depth is actually probably around 5 inches. So when the camera lens is right up against the screen here, the piece of plexi, it's right where it needs to be, but the depth of the camera from here out is actually quite large. So let's go ahead and model up the next pedestal piece. So I have up my previous model so I could get my dimensions again, and it is 2.5 by 2.5 with a 1/2 inch inset for each of the holes all the way around. So let's draw that part first. And that's pretty much what it's going to look like. I think this will be the tallest piece I've ever tried to print, so it'll be interesting to see if we get any waves or any heat separation in this print. Should be a pretty good test. The next thing we can do is also, just to be sure, we can, after I save this part, we can place it into an assembly to make sure that everything is coherent and fitting together. It's always fun getting used to new commands. I actually use SolidWorks 2014 at my job, and then at home I have SolidWorks 2017. So we'll mate these two holes together. We'll do the same thing because in almost every case except for spherical parts you will need 3 mates to hold an object fixed in 3D model space so that it doesn't move around. Anyway, that's basically what our adapter is going to look like, and then there'll be a large structure that comes out this way so that we can support the whole camera. Now I'm going to take care of building the angle in the next piece. I just wanted to make this one as simple as possible, hopefully to save some time on printing the model itself. So let's save over our file and put it into the slicer program. Now with Cura open, we can go ahead and bring in our model that we just created. I brought it in on the wrong side again, that's no problem. We will just click on there and rotate 90 degrees. So that's what it's going to look like when it prints it. I could have saved some time by making this base a little bit thinner, but I'd like it to be strong. I mean, I'm going to have a $400 or $500 camera sitting on it, so I want it to be able to hold the weight no problem. It's worth the extra time for printing. So let's go ahead and save this file to our removable drive, and let's fire up the printer. So I'm going to try and do something that was recommended to me. I'm really tired of the long wait time to heat up the bed of this printer. Last night I think it took about 45 minutes just to get the bed hot enough before the nozzle could heat up to extrude the material to actually start the print. So I'm going to try this method, heating up the bed with a hairdryer. Yes, it's pink. No, it's not mine. Anyway, let's see how long it takes this one to heat up. There we go. We just hit 100 degrees. Took about 6 minutes. I have 5 minutes 20 seconds on the camera, but either way, That's a heck of a lot faster than I'm used to. So it turns out it's already done. I was changing my clothes into something more comfortable, and suddenly the thing started printing. So I think we were at about 10 minutes in total, which is a lot faster than 45, 50 minutes. So I'm gonna consider that one a definite positive. All right, let me set up the time lapse the way I'm used to doing it. So I thought you might actually want to see this part of it. The infill is only at 20% on this part, so it actually makes this honeycomb looking shape. It's not actually shaped like a honeycomb, but that's the term I would use for it. So it doesn't need to be a completely solid piece. That's why it lays in all the X's across everything. So then it'll put on a layer over top of all that to seal it all in. And there she is, all done. Let's see, total of 3 hours and 33 minutes. Let's move my rig out of the way. It certainly is rigged. I wonder how hot this is. Very. So let's let that cool, then I'll pull it off the bed. So I was sitting out in my living room and I heard which usually means that the part has separated itself from the hotbed. So let's take a look. Yep. An extra little bit from the beginning of the extrusion. Oops. Just snap that off. And there we go. Holes line up pretty good. Well, you can see that the light is coming through the holes. Since it was an exact duplicate essentially of the lower half except facing the opposite direction. So now, which yes I realize that's going to be annoying every time I want to get into it, I have to pull it back out, but I am thinking of how to make these better. Instead of using the 1/4-20 hardware, I'm thinking I might print some plugs that I can then glue in or press fit into the top and then make it a sloppy fit for the bottom. So that way I'll just be able to drop this piece in and the whole rig will be there. So when I need to get into the unit I can just pull this off and, you know, open the door, get right in. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. We can imagine the camera then, you know, sitting on top of it just like this. Yeah, it's going to work out really nice for me. So that's going to wrap up tonight's episode. I hope you have enjoyed watching it. I always enjoy making these things. I love 3D printing things like you would not believe. I know there doesn't seem to be a lot of accomplishment throughout these videos. Like, okay, yeah, you printed a rectangle with another square coming out of it, big whoop. But understand that this took 4 or 5 hours to shoot the whole thing, even though I've compressed it down and then sped up the video 64 times in a couple of scenes. But either way, we are working towards a better goal, and we should have everything finished up in part 3 of this episode. Thanks for watching Do Something Every Day. I hope you can like or subscribe to these video series. It really helps me out a lot, like you wouldn't believe. It is motivation to keep moving forward with these projects. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next episode. I just wanted you guys to be able to see some of this fine detail work. I can feel the lines, obviously, from the printer, but overall it's pretty clean and overall very square. So I am pleased the printer is performing as well as it is. Bed adhesion is pretty good overall. So yeah, thought I'd give you guys a close-up view of that. Thanks for watching.